The rain had just started when Daniel heard the faint sound of an engine sputtering outside his cottage. He glanced up from his modest breakfast, eggs and tea, and saw a silver car at the bottom of the lane, half stuck in the mud. Not unusual for tourists out here in the Kent countryside. Still, something tugged at him, a familiarity he couldn't place. He pulled on his boots and jacket, walking across the soaked field until he reached the vehicle. The window rolled down, and a young woman with bright green eyes and red lipstick leaned out, visibly flustered. "This thing just died on me," she said with a London accent. "I don't suppose you're a mechanic too." "Something like that," Daniel said with a half smile. "You're a long way from the city. I'm Alice." He extended his hand, Daniel. What neither of them knew yet was that this brief exchange would stir up decades of silence, buried truths, and emotions neither of them had prepared for. After 20 minutes of muddy effort, Daniel got the engine purring again, but the rain came harder and Alice looked soaked and shivering. "Come inside, dry off," he offered. "I'll make you tea." She hesitated, just a blink, then nodded. Inside the cottage, things felt rustic but warm. Books stacked on old shelves, a fire just lit, the scent of wood smoke and damp wool. She took off her coat, and he handed her a towel. "You live here alone?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Since my mum passed. The land's been in the family for generations." Alice sipped her tea. "I was adopted," she said suddenly. "They never told me much, just that my real family had a farm, somewhere in Kent. I drove here hoping to find it." Daniel's hand paused on his mug. "What's your birth name?" "Alice Matthews," she replied. The cup slipped from Daniel's fingers, hitting the floor with a dull thud. She looked up, startled. He stared at her like she was a ghost. "My mum's name was Margaret Matthews." Silence. And then the weight of everything they didn't know began to settle between them. The fire had burned low. Neither of them spoke for a long while. Daniel disappeared into another room and returned with a wooden box. He opened it carefully, pulling out a yellowed envelope. This was tucked in the back of her wardrobe after she passed. He said, "I didn't open it until months later." He handed it to her. She opened it with shaking fingers. "To the daughter I gave away. I hope life gave you joy. I loved you more than I could keep you. Your father didn't know. I left you with a promise to never forget." Alice's hand flew to her mouth. Daniel looked away. "I didn't know. I was only 7 when she went away for a few months, came back quieter, then life went on." The rain continued outside, but something else was breaking open inside the small house. History. Identity, pain, and beneath it all, something deeper was forming, something neither of them could name. She stayed for dinner. The fire crackled again, the rain now a soft mist tapping at the window. Alice moved with an ease that unsettled Daniel, not because it was wrong, but because it felt right. He watched her laugh, sleeves rolled, washing dishes like she belonged. "I don't know what to do with this," she admitted suddenly, her back to him. Daniel stepped closer. "Me neither." She turned, eyes wide, glassy with emotion. "All my life I wondered who I was, and now I'm in your kitchen. I don't think you're just anyone." He interrupted gently. "I think maybe you came here because we both needed something we didn't know we were missing." The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was electric. He reached up, brushing a wet strand of hair from her cheek. Her breath hitched. She didn't move away. The connection simmered, real. Tangled in shared bloodlines but untouched by time. That night, she couldn't bring herself to leave. Not when every piece of her identity felt like it was in that house. "With him, I'll sleep on the couch," Daniel offered, but she touched his hand. "No, stay." They lay on opposite sides of the bed at first, staring at the ceiling, listening to the storm roll back in. "I used to dream about this," she whispered, finding a place that felt like home. Daniel turned to her. Maybe home isn't just a place. She faced him too. Their hands met in the space between pillows. Slowly they moved closer, a kiss gentle and trembling, then another. Her hand rested on his chest. His fingers brushed her collarbone. They didn't rush. Everything unfolded like breath, slow, deliberate, sacred. And when they finally slept, wrapped in each other's arms, the storm had quieted. The morning came with sun and silence. Alice stood at the edge of the field, Daniel beside her. Birds chirped, and the muddy road shimmered in golden light. "What now?" she asked. "We figure it out," he said. "We're not just strangers anymore." "No, but we're not siblings either. We're two adults who found each other in the strangest way possible." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "And it feels like fate." He placed a hand on her waist. "Maybe fate looks nothing like the stories. Maybe it's muddy boots, forgotten letters, and tea on rainy afternoons." She laughed softly. "Then I'm ready for it." Weeks passed. She didn't leave. The car got fixed, but she never packed. They worked the land together. He taught her how to dig potatoes, mend fences, and read clouds. She taught him how to open his heart without fear. At night, they shared blankets and stories. At dawn, they kissed like they were still discovering what love was supposed to feel like. One evening, as they stood under the fading sun, she whispered, "You're not just the man who helped me start my car. And you're not just the girl who knocked on my gate," he said. "You're my beginning." She finished. He kissed her gently, and as autumn settled in, the farm that had once only held his past now bloomed with a future neither of them had expected. But both finally embraced,